Necro, but I found that is, it gets called a political band.
Salvation of what I see in others.
When you go camping, you get to see the Milky Way galaxy.
Punk rock type attitude too. We're just going to try to, gross you out with our music.
Yo, what's up? This is John from Noise Dosage Media, bringing you some of the most innovative and unique extreme metal musicians on air to have an in-depth conversation about things you probably didn't know until now. Before we unravel this episode, we want to bring attention to our driving force of visual creativity. Begrudgingly Benny creates one-of-a-kind creatures that you can't find anywhere else but below. His focus is on old-school style, slimy stippling that is budget-friendly for all bands or tattoo desired. Stay updated on the sludge by following at begrudgingly_Benny on Instagram. Withered Designs raises the dead with pen and ink and gives them new life with acidic color. Withered is eager to accompany your next album, merchandise, or zine with new, kick-ass, necromantic artwork. Keep up with the Horde by following him at Withered_Designs on Instagram. Thanks for tuning in, and let's dive into this. I just reached out to Nails, and they're like, yeah, man, we'll do an interview when our next album drops. But I kind of noticed something weird about that band. They posted something that basically said that they believe that if you don't have anything going on, like, an album dropping or a tour or something like that, like you shouldn't
be
really
quiet.
be active. Yeah.
I mean,
and
that's his opinion.
Do you, how do you feel on that? Do you think that you should put everything out there to the world about your band, or should you be in the middle, or, try to keep close?
Dude, there's all kinds of bands out there. Some people want to be like a 24-hour social media feed, and that's cool. I think we're probably somewhere in between. I've tried to be quieter over the years because I'm really, really sick of social media. Like, if I wasn't, quote unquote professionally tied to it, I wouldn't have it anymore. But I think that's part of the world nowadays. And like this social media thing, it's important. It's a utility. There's nothing wrong with being loud if you want to be. I know bands that are fucking annoying because they never shut the fuck up. But like, we're guilty of it too. And I'm always cognizant of the fact that, like, are we like too much of a merch band? Like, we're fucking selling t-shirts again. You know what I mean?
Right.
But it's also a pandemic, and we're like a working band, and I don't know, man. It's an impossible question to answer, and it's a constant thing with Full of Hell where we're asking ourselves, like, what's too much, what's too little. I always wanted to be a band that was approachable to people, that was just regular ass people. Because you know what I mean? For me, the theater was like not worth it. I wanted to like create this thing where it's just us. I'll never get burned out on like just being myself. Everybody knows I'm like some fucking soft ass weenie with dogs. That's just nice. You know what I mean? I'm not trying to be anything.
Yeah, man.
So it's easy. It's just like, I'm just me, but whatever. I don't know. I feel like it could get exhausting, like having to put it on all the time. But so I don't know. There's no answer. For us, there's a balance in between. For Nails, they want to go quiet. I know Gate Creeper is the same way. Chase is likes to they like went silent for like a year and then put out like a surprise EP. I think that's sick as fuck. But,
man,
it's not my style.
And that's a really good point, man, because holy shit, man, they just dropped that thing out of nowhere, and it was like one of the best albums around right now. Like, that got released.
It's cool, and there's like a whole science behind how social media works. There's like stupid algorithms and stuff, and I don't know, man. Either way, you're kind of losing. You know what I mean? So
right.
You just got to find something that works for you. I guess if I had to like just state a personal opinion, I don't like when bands are like super duper loud, constantly posting every day. I think it's a little much. But I know a lot of people out there probably really like that. You know what I mean? It's kind of cool. I also like really prolific bands. That's why I'm really getting into hip hop again the last few years, because, with electronic music and hip hop music, being prolific is more like par for the course. In metal, it's like Thou releases lots of records. There are definitely prolific bands out there. The Body is really prolific, but there's not like, it's not as commonplace. There's like this idea. This is another thing I fucking hate, is like the idea of an album cycle, or like, how things are supposed to be.
Okay.
It's cool that bands do that. I totally respect it. It's not my thing. I don't like it. I like when shit's prolific. I kind of like when something's going on. I mean, it may be hard to follow sometimes, Like some of these guys I really like rapping right now, they put out a new record every 3 months. It's insane. I can't keep up, but I also think it's really cool that they're that prolific, you know? And if the quality keeps up,
Yeah.
like who's to stop them? And with Full of Hell, I feel like the fire's always burning with Spencer. He's always writing shit, you know? We have to start other projects just to like circumvent all this shit into something else. So
Yeah.
that's fine
That-
for me. Like open the floodgates. Let's just release music for 20 years constantly. Like I'm down.
You said
there's
that
no
Spencer
answer.
has like no writer's block. Like,
Well, that's not true. He definitely has assumed writer's
like,
block.
but it doesn't last, right?
Yeah, so I definitely think he has writer's block, but I think his brain works at a different speed than other people's. So I think like he'll be like, I've got writer's block. And then what it seems to me, the space of time may be larger than I think, but it seems to me like he tells me, fuck, I've got writer's block, you know, I'm honestly having trouble writing this record. Then he comes back to me like 3 days later sometimes. It's kind of funny sometimes because he'll come back and be like, wrote 4 songs and they're really, really great. And it's just like, I've seen that happen over and over again. So I feel like it's part of his process. And I think writer's block's supernatural, man. Like it's totally a normal
Oh God,
experience.
yeah.
Of course,
Yeah,
it's a normal
man.
experience with anybody. Nobody's got an unlimited tank. With lyrics, I'm totally like dry or like soaking wet. Like
I
it's
was just
either
about to ask that, like for you,
I've
you know,
stopped.
how is
I'll write. I can sit down and like force something out, but I'm really not a fan of doing it like that. But I'll just like have a mood, you know what I mean? I'll hit like a perfect brainwave and I'll just jot some stuff down and I'll just continue to do that. I try to do it regularly enough that we just recorded so much music in the last like this year that I haven't written lyrics and I haven't written lyrics in a minute, but we've been recording nonstop. So I've written like with side projects included like 5 or 6 albums worth of lyrics this year.
Holy
So it's
shit,
just like
man.
and it's cool. The way I've done it is more natural, but like I can't just turn that tap on where it feels like respectable. You know what I mean? It feels
Now
like
is that
played out.
is that straight through, or do you do like
I'll
parts
just do
and
chunks.
pieces?
I'll do like
Okay.
4 bars or something, or like come up with titles. A lot of times, the title will speak to me. I really like striking words. I love something that puts an image in your head. So sometimes I'll think like, how can I represent the subject of this song in an object? You know what I mean? That was like an old standby of mine, like in an object or like just through some metaphor or something. It can be pretty abstract, but something that really puts an image in your head. And a lot of times the title helps me flesh out any kind of wording. But I'll just write loose lyrics, like 2-4 lines or whatever every now and then, maybe more. And then when it comes time to demo songs, I just like mutilate them and restructure them, keep the same meaning obviously, but have to like, chop them up and fit them in. Me and Spencer have been writing together for so long that his cadence with his guitar playing, how he strums and everything, I feel like I'm kind of like tuned in with his style of rhythm. Same with Dave, and Dave's pretty frantic, so sometimes his fills are just like drive me nuts because it's like so
mind-boggling
for him. For them it makes sense, but for me the fill is so busy that I'll just be like, what? My brain just like, it's not even like mathcore where it's like 5/4, or something like that necessarily, but it'll be like, I just like, it's like, I can't really describe it because I'm not a drummer, but maybe there'll be like one hit that's like, it's in time, but it's, he likes it because it's like just adds a little flair, but it sounds like fucked up and it just throws me off. And maybe it'll even throw Spencer off, but he's just like a wild man. But generally speaking, I'm like used to writing with those guys. So like what they send me, I can usually demo pretty quickly,
Now, do you? This is my favorite part, man. Like diving deep into like writing itself.
Yeah.
It sounds like he writes a lot of it, but does he, demo it out on a computer and then bring it to you, or do you guys go straight to like a room and then kind of get the ideas brewing?
I got to tell you how we've demoed, because it's kind of funny. So like early days of Full of Hell, dude, honestly, I actually don't know how many years we did this. I think it was, a long time. There was a video game called Rock Band. Dave
Oh
had.
yeah, I was just talking
Dave-
about that today.
Dave's studio is called Thug Mansion Studios. That was like the joke back in the day. And he had a Facebook page where he like ripped off the bio from our friend's actual recording studio. So it was like Thug Mansion Studios, we are here to provide you the best blah blah blah. And it was like some shit we stole from our friend, or that Dave did. But yeah, it was just he would just plug a Rock Band mic into his like Dell laptop or some shit. It was fine. I think it compressed it so hard that the high volume of the rehearsal space, it was totally reasonable. I mean, it sounds like a Mayhem demo. I don't know if you've ever heard. I saw this like rehearsal tape, like of an early Mayhem practice, like
Oh yeah,
30
yeah,
years ago,
yeah.
whatever.
I've talked to Necro Butcher, man.
That's
He's a
sick.
crazy fucker.
But that rehearsal demo, obviously, it's like a VHS. Like
Oh, yeah, it
high
sounds
8.
like-
It sounds like shit. Our demos sound like that.
Sounds
They're
like
almost,
a freaking chalkboard.
dude. Our demos
When you
are.
scri-
I'm not gonna lie, our demos are pretty necro sometimes. Sometimes I'm like, maybe we should release the demos because they're raw as fuck. We might get more respect for the demos, but they're really
Dude,
raw.
that would be so sick.
It'd be funny, but they're really raw. And even nowadays, like honestly, Dave has a mic set up now that he can record with pretty respectably. But if I'm taking demos for vocals, I straight up record them right into my phone through an app called Scratch Track, and it's like. I'm not even trying to advertise Scratch Track. This hardcore dude from this band Punch made it, I think, if I'm remembering correctly. But it's just super easy. It's just a recording app. But I feel like, interestingly enough, the external mic on an iPhone to me like compresses. And I could be sounding like a total fool right now, but to me it seems like it compresses it enough where for me I can hear what the guitar's playing and I can hear what the drums are doing. And if I try to record another way, like it might sound too blown out. You know what I mean? Like indecipherable.
Uh-huh.
But I need to be able to decode this. Even so, when I get to the studio and I hear these songs, depending on how long distance we've been, sometimes it's like hearing these songs for the first time. It's like, oh, there's like real notes here. You know what I mean? It blows my mind. And sometimes the songs have like changed a bit and I'll miss that beat because I'll demo them to like, a year before or 6 months before and they'll switch some shit up when we get in there. And I'll have to like scratch my head and think about it. I usually sit in the studio in the room where they're recording the whole week. I'll sit in there all day long every day and so I can
take it in.
just so I can hear the songs over and over and over again and make sure my lyrics aren't fucked up because that's not a place I want to be when there's like limited time or whatever. It's
Man,
recording vocals
yeah,
sucks.
I was kind of curious, man. Like, being that DIY is like your thing. Do you do vocals like in house or do you like go into a studio and try to like hash it out?
Oh, well, it depends. We have a project called Sore Dream now. Spencer and I,
Mhm.
it's like a noise thing, and we record all of that stuff at home, and it works totally fine. I do have a decent enough recording setup, especially for harsh vocals. It's honestly perfect. But if it's a Full of Hell record, it's always been in a studio. I mean, I'll demo like. It doesn't matter how I demo it. I'll scream into an external mic or a phone. Like it literally doesn't matter. It's just so that I can get a cadence down,
Uh-huh.
But always in the studio, whatever they're gonna give me the nicest. I just listen to what they tell me to do, But recording vocals, fuck, it sucks, man. I don't know if you've asked people about this, but screaming, harsh vocals in general, they sound so awful, dry. Without anything around
Oh my
them.
god, yeah.
And my voice
dude,
is just puke noises and like really scratchy shit. It sounds so when I was like 14 or 13, I recorded my first like thing and I was so fucking mortified as soon as I started singing. I didn't understand that the feeding it through the PA and having it with music, it gives it gain and it makes it wet and it's like it sits in with the music and it sounds cool. Raw, dude, everybody was laughing at me. It was so embarrassing. And it's
funny.
still, I'm used to it at this point, obviously, but I mean, it's not fun. And
They're like, what the hell are
I
you
want-
doing, bro?
I need privacy. It's embarrassing. I need like crank my headphones, put a ton of reverb and gain on it.
and that's what I mean. Like a lot of vocalists that I know, they just don't like going into the studio because they feel like rushed and
It's embarrassing.
Yes, because like the embarrassing thing and just in general, like taking your time.
Well, man, and I don't know I don't have. I mean, I have techniques, I guess, but I don't know how to articulate them to another person, and I don't think about like these are my techniques. This is the way that I will succeed and get what I want. I've never like watched the Zen of Screaming or any of those. I'm not saying I would probably get something from it at this point, and I've learned things way later than I should have probably by not like trying to seek out other people that may have been more experienced than me. But for me, it's always just been in the dark. And the first Full of Hell record, I don't even want to listen to ever again because the way I tracked vocals was just like wrong. It was like the moment the next record is when I learned like, oh, I was screaming as hard as I could and it sounded like shit. That's not even how I sing live. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It just takes time. You gotta fuck shit up. You gotta mess it up to figure it out. And I feel like I always downplayed vocals too. I'm like, who gives a fuck? It's so like whatever. You know what I mean? It's not even an instrument. Whatever. But I mean, your throat is an instrument, and I think because it's part of your body, if it's not properly trained, it's really difficult to manage to get the sounds that you want. You know what I mean? Every time I go
Right.
into a record, it's like I don't want to make the same mistakes I made last time, or you know what I mean? I messed this up. I did this thing too many times. I embellished in the wrong way. It's always a quest to like just execute it the way I know that I can, and it's hard. And when that record's done, it's done. It's not yours anymore. It's just like out in the world, and you got to deal with that, you know?
Yeah, and you said something like you don't the latest record, like you haven't listened to it a lot. I mean, like
A few times, but
Was that
only,
right?
only during mastering. Yeah, I don't know. And you know what? Some of my friends' bands I listen to on Spotify a lot, like this one body side project called Manslaughter 777, which is like this psycho ass like drum record. It's like dub and all kinds of shit. Not metal at all. After the Manslaughter record, the Spotify algorithm plays a Full of Hell song, and it's so embarrassing to me. Like I'll be jamming in my car with like my cousins or something, and I'll be like, "Isn't this sick? Listen to those drums. You know, this beat's crazy." And then it'll just be like some Full of Hell shit, and I'm just like, "God damn it, it's so
you're
embarrassing."
like, God damn it, I can't
But no,
get
I
away
don't.
from it.
I don't really want to listen to my own music ever. It's much more difficult to listen to your own voice, as you know. Like it's just weird.
Yeah,
You get used to it, you accept it, but whatever. I don't want to hear it.
That's definitely like a thing that I've always questioned. Like, should I listen to my music, or should I listen to something I worked on like after I did it like
Dude,
a bunch of times?
yeah.
Because
Yeah.
I mean, like I feel like you learn what you don't want, but at the same time, you start hating it. At the same time,
it's necessary to a degree for sure. And I've listened to it enough to learn what I fucked up. Even from the last record, man. There's like I don't even like admitting this stuff, but I lost my mind. Okay, I didn't lose my mind. I was disappointed because I embellished the end of side A the same way I embellished the end of side B with this like thing. I don't even know how it happened. It pissed me off because I didn't intentionally. It sounds cool if it's intentional, whatever. I try not to overdo that. Those like cool Craig Pillardy like embellishments, you know, those are like he's a genius at that. But if you do it too much, it's whack. And I did it, you know, at the end of side A and side B, and nobody gives a fuck about it. You know what I mean? No one cares about that. But to me, that bugged me. I don't know. You got to live with
I
it.
feel that, man.
You just fuck
I
up.
feel
You
it.
can't. That's why you can't master your own stuff. Your ears are poisoned. You have to send it to
Yeah,
an
man.
outside source.
Well, I've been kind of like I've been questioning myself. It's like, do I want to write music at home and release it myself, or do I want to do, go to a studio and do that and like put it in somebody else's hands? And I
Right.
feel like, it's a good question to you because, I heard you literally say that you don't like listening to music afterwards. And it's like, for me, like, how could I polish an album and listen to that hundreds of times and
It's
like,
hard.
not hate it?
We do that with Sword Dream, and it's a growing experience. The first one, my input on the record, I was like really nervous about. You know what I mean? Because it's just taste is so subjective, and like, what the fuck do I know? I'm an idiot. You know what I mean? I'm not a musical genius. I'm a fucking moron. I'm lucky to be where I am. Why? Like, who am I to be handling the production part of this music too? But I don't know. It's a growing experience. I think it's important to record music at home too. I think it's cool. You figure out what you like, and it's nice. It is so nice. You cannot overestimate the importance of having time and privacy, especially when you're making like
yes.
for us, when we're making a noise record or something. I want time to sit with it. And it's easier for me to sit with the Sword Dream stuff because I'm not singing a lot on it, you know? So I definitely question my moves sometimes, but I'm also learning what's acceptable, you know? And
Right.
I don't know. It's so easy to be overly critical. It really doesn't matter at the end of the day.
I feel it, man. I feel it. One of the best quotes I've ever been told is like, it doesn't matter what piece of art you make, it's never going to be finished. Like you're never going to be satisfied. It
Dude,
doesn't matter what
so
you do.
true. And you just got to let it go. And you got to know when to let it go. I've got friends that definitely just like fixate on a record for years, and it's like you got to wrap it up. That's the one thing I really really like about playing with Spencer and Dave particularly is because
Yeah, you get it
they write
out. Like,
they write it and it's done, and we go to the studio and we record it, and that's it. There's no sitting around. We've always tracked the record within like 5 days, no matter what. It's just like we're so ready to go. It's dialed in. There's no mystery really. That's nice. It's nice to know like what we're out to accomplish, and it is what
Right.
it is. So it helps to have those parameters, because I'd probably sit around and like fixate like, dude,
oh
is
man,
this good? Is
Yeah,
this bad?
yeah,
You know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
Like, fuck that. It sucks.
Be like, I think the phrasing could be different. No, I think it could
man.
be a different texture of vocal, man.
Yeah, I'm working on a new band right now. It's like just bass and drums and vocals and noise, and it's really sick. And it's with two of my oldest friends, but we definitely like it was a new dynamic because I'm so used to Full of Hell just being like we go into the studio and it's like we're done. But with this band, it was like, well, what do you think about this? And what do you think about that? And I caught myself being like almost like impatient with my friends, where I'm just like, I don't really care. Like, just put it in. You know what I mean? And it's
Just
like,
send
no,
it, yeah, man.
we have time. We have time to think about this. Like, I just know that if you fixate on something for too long, you absolutely will spiral for sure. But like, it was cool and interesting to like have a new recording dynamic with other people because full band wise, Full of Hell is my full band. You know what I mean? That I'm used to at this point.
Yep,
So anything
yep.
else is like so alien. And those guys, they just wanted to like kind of pour over it a little more.
No,
It'd be
maybe.
sick. This will never happen because I don't know any Portal interviews, but it'd be sick if you
Dude.
interviewed someone from Portal.
Dude, we could talk about Portal for about an hour, dude.
Yeah,
But
they're one of
I'm
my
not
favorite. That's probably my favorite like modern metal band. I mean,
The
unbelievable.
guitar player is on Facebook. I tried
really?
reaching out to him.
That's sick.
Yeah, he is.
Dude, their label,
But
Profound Lore. I'm friends with this dude Bruni that runs.
I
that
just
label.
talked to Profound Lore. That was
That's
the last
sick.
one I did.
Oh man, maybe I saw that actually. I didn't listen to the episode. That's awesome. Bruni rules. But he told me those guys are total party animals, and that like he told me this Death Fest story where like he was chilling with them backstage and they like pounded a whole handle of whiskey and then played. And like I've heard from my like my punk friends that even like Portal, they saw that set and they were like they were wearing fucking gloves while they played guitar. Like, how do you even? What is that music even? I feel like Portal to me is like Gorguts, Morbid Angel, like free based. Like if you were smoking PCP all day and you just dismembered all that stuff and it was just like pieces of it. It's so abstract and fucked up and weird. I love Portal.
Yes. Dude, Portal is probably my favorite band of all time. Like,
Dude,
just
oh my
because
god, that's my favorite metal band too, probably. Honestly, like as far as metal bands go too, for sure.
I've made a few friends just talking about Portal just because of the fact that, people, I feel like a lot of people don't understand what Portal is about. Like
Definitely not.
I have friends that literally have said to me like they like metal too,
Yeah.
but they're like, this literally sounds like noise. Like there's nothing going on here. I'm like, no, man, you just don't. You don't get it, man.
And then one of the recording engineers that we record with, a really good friend of mine, dude, plays in grindcore bands, like knows all kinds of extreme music, is a brilliant guy. He's like, I don't like Portal. I don't like the songwriting. And honestly, that's probably fair. I'm not like a super talented instrumentalist anyway, so maybe I'm not even one to speak on it, but I love their approach to songwriting. I think it's fucking awesome. And I love how on the first few records, he was literally, instead of blasting, he'll just do like tom fills and shit. That sounds so weird. And they started doing some more blasting, I think, on that Ion record, and I loved it anyway. It's still sick, but man, what a cool band! Talk about like investing in the theatrics, like
or like Imperial Triumphant. I don't know if you're a
Oh,
fan
they're sick.
of them.
Yeah, definitely more jazzy
Holy
too.
shit! Have you seen them live?
No, I haven't. But at Roadburn, they handed out gold masks to the entire room. Apparently,
They're
pretty serious.
okay. So I saw them in a room that maybe fit like 50 people,
yeah,
and how do I put it? I've never had an experience at a show where it, like, I was just kind of like, so like, how do I put it? Can't even put it into words.
did it flatten you?
No, it's just like you're just so involved in the music. Like you just pay attention so much that you're like just in a different zone, and like that's Imperial Triumphant.
Okay, I had a moment. I'll tell you this. This is the best death metal band I've ever seen live. I mean, my jaw was just like open for like 35 minutes. Was Dead Congregation. Are you familiar?
Oh,
Dude, it's
God.
unfucking believable. There's no reason anybody needs to play death metal like in that style at all because they're so fucking insane live. I mean, it's perfect. It was
Wow.
leveling.
Are they playing at Maryland Death Fest?
I'm not sure.
Fest,
I haven't been
know?
keeping up with the lineup because it keeps getting
It's
pushed
changing
forward
all
years.
the time, but
But I mean, it's possible. They definitely travel, so I mean, it's totally possible. They're unbelievable.
I'm going to that.
They're perfect.
I am going to that. I don't know if you're a big fan of festivals, but that's going to be my first ever.
I'm not, but only because I'm a privileged dickhead that's been like playing a bunch. You know what I mean? Like,
oh yeah, you don't want to.
and actually, I kind of hate standing. I hate
time.
standing up. So I've been to a bunch of Death Fest though, and like they're. I mean, it's sick. You just like tick off so many insane bucket list bands. I don't know. Death Fest is sick. That's a really cool festival. It's just a good vibe. I don't know. I'm psyched it's still going. I always wonder like how do they keep coming up with lineups because there's a finite amount of legacy bands and stuff,
Right.
And I know they bring back some like heavy hitters, but they keep it creative.
Another one is Mexico. What the hell is it called? It's like Mexico Death Fest or something, or some. I don't know what the name is.
Is it more like Black and Death, like a lot of black metal shit? I forget what that's called, but it's got a lot more like
Death over Mexico.
It's got a lot more like bestial shit going on and stuff, right?
Yeah,
like a
but
little
it's called
war metal
Death
and stuff.
over Mexico. Like that's the fest.
It looks pretty psycho.
Oh my god.
I want to go to the one in Copenhagen in Denmark. I forget what it's called.
Oh god.
It's got all the sewer bands. That's like an undergang. They're like
I was
undergang's
just
like
about
a house
to say,
band.
man, I haven't seen Undergang, and that would be sick,
dude. There's been a couple tours over the years we thought we were going to get to do that got canceled. That Undergang was supposed to open. We were going to do an Immolation tour. Undergang was going to be the opener, and we were going to do. There was going to be a Napalm Death tour that was Undergang, and I was just like, I couldn't. I was just like,
damn, that'd be crazy.
Losing my mind. You know what I mean?
So you're Full of Hell, Undergang, and Napalm.
I mean, it's not happening now, but
no,
it was
it was like that would have been
an idea.
Ass beater of a freaking tour.
Hell yeah, man! Because Undergang's sick to me. Because bands like that are like raw, they are still punks to me. You know what I mean? I feel like kind of like Autopsy, or Ass Suck or something. Like I feel like you could tell those guys were punks. They had the chops and everything, but it's just sloppy enough, and it's disgusting. And I don't know, it's just cooler that way.
So are you in Pennsylvania?
Central Pennsylvania.
Yep. So if you play a show in Buffalo or wherever, Rochester, this area, I'm going to be starting to film like a documentary. I'm having Napalm on it, a whole bunch of people. If you play a show here, I'm going to film something with you.
Dude, we're down. Definitely.
But it ain't going to be a goddamn like straight up interview. It's gonna be
you don't have to
cool.
worry about it. You can put me on the spot, whatever. We've played both Rochester and Buffalo. We actually played Are you from Buffalo?
Yeah, I'm in Buffalo.
Dude, my favorite rappers are from Buffalo. Griselda Records. You know those guys? West Side Gun, Conway the Machine.
I'm not huge into rap, man. I'm gonna be honest.
Those guys are super DIY hustlers, though. That's why I love it. But the craziest, my favorite hardcore band of all time is from Buffalo. They were called Gas Chamber, and it was like Pink Floyd meets like the most psycho power violence. Honestly, like mind blowing.
There's been a lot of good bands coming out of Buffalo.
They're a deep cut. They're the most. That's a band that like brings people to tears because it's like magnanimous. I'll text you a link. I mean, it's some crazy shit. It's like just really out there weirdo stuff. Huge influence on us for sure. Sadly, not a band anymore. They did a show in a subway station in Buffalo once with it was like a extended lineup with like 9 people. There was like a dude with hammers like bashing on metal and stuff, and like I don't know, man. They were a crazy band. Buffalo has a legacy for sure.
I don't know about right now, but yeah, we're hoping there's something going on. It's more in Rochester, to be honest with you.
Yeah, we played Bug Jar a couple times. The shows were always crazy.
Dude, can you please play at the Bug Jar again?
Oh, we will. Yeah, I think we'll play with. I really like those kids in Undeath. They're really nice. So
yes,
maybe we'll gig with those guys in
okay.
Rochester. We've had opportunities to go back. We're getting really like advanced bookings now. We're like planning the end of next year already. You know what I mean? We're like booking that.
Okay.
So it's just like the plans are so stretched out. I don't know. It's like I think we're gonna be like tentatively booked up, and like it's hard to like if it's like a bunch of other bands involved. Sometimes it's hard to like influence where the lineup's gonna go, and everybody wants to be home. So like that's why I feel like that's why Buffalo gets overlooked because people don't want to play like a B market. They consider it. You know what I mean? It's whack. You got to go there. Rochester's sick too. Rochester's
weird,
probably better.
I mean, from a DIY like punk aesthetic, definitely Rochester. Like, but Town Ballroom, I mean, how do I put it? There's like great sound, but it's just the Walmart of venues. Great sound, great everything, but there's nothing special about it.
Did you know Sugar City?
I never went to a show there. I don't know if they're still open or not.
They're not. My friend ran it. So our friend Andy Zuba was his name. He doesn't live in town anymore. He booked a ton of DIY metal and punk shows. Like we played in a basement one time in the dead of winter with that black metal band Mutilation Rights. We did like a tour with them many years ago, and it was just like 30 crust punks like beating the shit out of each other. It was pretty cool,
dude. Some of my favorite shows have been in Buffalo, like basements.
Oh, definitely, man. Nothing better. But we've played a lot of shows in Buffalo over the years through him, and some of them were really great. And Sugar City was like very important detail in that. But now Sugar City's gone. He's gone. Someone's got to pick up the mantle. It's gonna. We'll see how it goes,
dude. I said I'd start booking shows, but I don't know if I do Buffalo. I do Rochester.
Yeah, dude, you should do it. If you start booking shows, you can book us, and I won't hamstring you or anything like that. We don't play like that. I feel like if you start booking metal bands, I feel like sometimes they're gonna be like, we got a contract, we want to get paid way more than we're worth. Like they're all gonna pull that shit.
Dude, that's a topic in and of itself because like I'm hosting my first show, Nunslaughter, in like a month.
Sick.
And I'm not handling the financial end of it, but I do know if I ever do shows in the future, like I want to do a guarantee, but at the same time, like I don't give a fuck if like Frank Sinatra comes through here. There's no guarantee on a Monday night. Like,
yeah, I mean, that's the thing. And that's why I like our booking agent, because he understood when I explained to him when we started working together, like, dude, I've got like a network of friends all over the country that will book us and do the good shows, but I'm friends with all these promoters. You cannot rip them off. So like our style is more of like, if we were to play Rochester on a Monday, we would ask for a lot less money, like a reasonable amount of money.
Right.
And it would be like a versus deal. So it's like, well, you give us like a this, or like versus maybe like 70% of the door, like whatever's greater. Or if it's like a straight up like homie, like for you after this conversation, especially, like it would just be a percentage deal. As long as there's something, I think it's important that there's something on paper, especially when you're not like really tight friends. It especially with friends, actually, it's like the fence to bring neighbors together. It's like, okay, you're going to give me 70% of the door. That's going to cover your costs for the night and everything. Cool. That's our agreement. That's chill. I think bands need to understand. That's like the name of the game, though, dude. If
I feel
booking
like
agents out there, they're seriously out there to like hamstring you. I would say 99% of them are fuckers, and they'll do that shit.
And that's why I'm like hesitant to even do it, because I've gotten screwed over. I mean, the music projects I used to be in were nothing, but I mean the promoter end of it is just a little bit tricky, because like I've had promoters literally walk out and not pay me. Like,
Oh, of course.
and
So
it's
have
like
we. This shit happens.
it's like if I'm gonna do it, I'm gonna do it like what you just said. Like do a percentage,
That's fair.
and then
See, you can be that guy.
document everything. You know, like at the end of the show, like write down how many tickets you sold, and then just I don't know. Just
See,
I feel like
that's my
bands
thing.
don't get that.
They don't. And you
You
know
know?
what? Promoters often, or super DIY promoters, don't get the other side of it either. And I don't remember who said it originally, but I always like this saying, it's not DIY, it's DIR, doing it right. Because there's a way
Yeah.
where I think it's still very, very DIY and grassroots, where you can be competent. You know what I mean? You can understand how many tickets you sold. You can hook a band up. You don't have to be a total fuck up. But like the bands can't be like these bands, like I feel like they don't give a shit. They think they can just whatever the promoter can like manage to like convince a young promoter to do. The band's like, cool, we're getting all this money, and they don't care that this promoter gets burnt. The agent doesn't care. Well, guess what? Who's gonna book you next time when you literally bankrupted this poor fool because he like agreed to book your like sixth tier like bullshit death metal band with no fans in like
straight up.
in like fucking like bumfuck like Western Massachusetts or wherever,
Buffalo.
or Buffalo. Buffalo is cool, but like Buffalo does not equal big money for anybody in underground music. It's like you cannot ask for like New York City money. It's fucking ridiculous. And some of these guys do that, man. It's a lot of them probably. It's bullshit.
Mhm.
And sometimes
Yeah.
they're working for their band. Sometimes the band's like, get us as much money as possible. I don't fuck with that. We work with people we know, or sometimes it's just like pro guys I don't really know that well. But it's like a deal on paper where it's reasonable. It's like this is actually what we're worth, or like something reasonable, and it's a versus deal, and the versus thing just works better. And we play places where it's just door deals. You could just be the door deal guy. There's probably nobody in Rochester to compete with right now, to be honest. Like a legit
I mean,
style, and you could be the door deal guy.
One friend of mine that does shows, but like he doesn't really have like how do I put it, like a huge connection base, like
When one guy can't book every show.
exactly.
It's too much of a mantle to bear. I can tell you this: the guy that books us, his company is called Heavy Talent, and he books a lot of metal bands. And some of his clients are definitely like he books like Entombed and like 1349 and all
they're
those
doing
things.
Terminal Nation.
Well, I guess
right?
not. Probably. And Entombed. I mean, I guess I shouldn't say rest in peace, LG, but he books those bands, and some of those bands, they're gonna ask for a lot of money because that's what his job is to do. But all the DIY shit he books, or like bands like mine, friends of mine, it's pretty chill scenario. You know what I mean? This dude is like, he knows what's up, and I think like door deals. I think with a trustable person, like I think that's people's problem. They think a door deal allows the promoter to not do his or her job,
or just like how do I put it, a little bit of gray area. You know what I mean? Like
yeah.
At the end of the night, if there's no paper to like documenting, like
what are you gonna do?
yeah, it's like did the bar really give you 200 or did you take 100? Or, like
I don't know why I was thinking about it. I was just thinking yesterday about times we've been ripped off, and this one time, this dopehead booked our show, like a straight up fucking heroin addicted fool, and he fell asleep and forgot to take money at the door, and there were like 60 people at this show.
No
and I was just
way.
like, cool, dude, can we get some money? And he was like, I forgot to take money, and I was like, are you fucking kidding me, man? Like everybody had left. It was insane, and I mean, it's on those kids too. I mean, like, I guess it's cool. Like they got to see the show, but
Damn.
if I didn't pay and
You
it was supposed to be a paid show, I was like, yeah, I was pretty disappointed, man. There's been some probably infinitely more ridiculous stories I'm just not thinking of. We've been burned a lot. We'll be burned again. I'm excited. I'm ready for it, to be honest. I'm not as nice as I once was either. Dude, we did this European tour with this grindcore band called DOC from Washington, D.C. And it was pretty, I mean, it was booked by an agent. It had a lot of kind of meh shows. It was just the time, it was like 2013 or something. But we played this show in Vienna, and this motherfucker, he was really young, like a little younger than me, probably like 19 or 20 in college. And he booked the show, and it was pretty cool. But he got drunk, and at the end of the night, he came to me, and he was like, I only have, I think the package guarantee might have been like 400 euros or something, and he gave me like 250, and he's like, I only have this. That's all I got. I'm sorry, not enough people came, and I was just like, I didn't. Me and the dude in the other band, who's like kind of like a big brother in this shit to me, we weren't gonna make this guy give us the money. We could have been like, take us to an ATM or something. All I wanted to do was be like, look, man, I'm not gonna take your money, but listen, next time you book a show, you have to understand that the bands are not gonna take. They're gonna be like, give me your fucking money. You have to be prepared for that. And instead of being like, okay, he started fucking crying, and I was like, dude,
Oh man.
I'm being so nice to you. I'm not even yelling at you. You're the one boning me. And like, I'm just trying to explain to you, like, next time, it's not going to be me. It's going to be it's going to be Glenn Benton. And he's just going to beat you like with a belt or something. You know what I mean? He's going to whip you.
Man.
He's going to beat you in front of your girlfriend or something. That's all I was trying to say. And not even in those terms. And he was sobbing. And then I got really pissed off because I'm like, motherfucker, like, you didn't pay me. And now you're crying and making me feel like shit. Cool. And we just pieced out. But I've had a couple times where it's like, dude, what are you doing, man? You're just like making this so much worse, bro. Like, it's embarrassing. Stop.
Wow.
But I mean, it just
Holy
happens.
crap.
I mean,
where was that?
In like Vienna, I think. It's not a big deal. I mean, that kind of shit. In Europe, honestly, like, it's a slightly different culture depending on where you go. So you get all kinds of weird, passively aggressive, rude comments, and like, I've definitely had promoters that are just like, it seems like no one really likes you in this town. Or like,
no way.
Oh my God, yes. Even like last time we were in Europe, I can remember like one night, it was like a summer festival tour. And dude, these summer festival tours can be so brutal because like you still have to play club shows in between the fests, but there's so many bands touring. It's like the most overloaded ever, and nobody goes to any of the club shows. Like, we opened for Black Dahlia Murder in a club, and there were 40 people there at one point. Like,
really?
That was the attendance, and that's crazy because we've opened for Black Dahlia Murder when it's like not festival season, and it's like average of maybe lowest 500 people up to like 1,500. You know what I mean? They're a big band.
Yeah, man.
So it was
every
crazy.
time I've seen Black Dahlia,
but that's festival
they sell
season
out every time.
But we played a shitty festival season club show in some town I'd never heard of, and the dude was just like, guess nobody likes you guys here. Last week we had like so many people. This place was packed, and it was just
What
like,
did Trevor say about that?
Trevor wasn't there for that. Wasn't that show? I was just using that as that was the same tour in another town, and that was the town that we played with Black Dahlia that had a low attendance. It was very understood. Like, this is a gap filler. The promoter was cool. The band was cool. Trevor was like super cool. You know what I mean? That guy's super chill. But like at this other little show where it was just us, I mean, I was cool about it and everything. I'm not gonna like care like if someone's talking shit to me, but like I was just like, damn, man, this guy doesn't even probably understand that he's being a little rude. They don't. It's just like a difference in.
It's a different.
They're like European culture is not that much different though. It's like I feel like it's like a little sharp, or a little flat. It's just a little off, and that makes it more grating though. You're just like you end up turning into the most ignorant dickhead. You're just like, dude. Last time we were like at the end of the tour, we were insane. We were listening to Toby Keith, like
man,
which I used to fucking hate. But our Polish driver, who's like one of my best friends, we've been riding together for like a decade. He's like, all of a sudden, he's like fascinated by American country music. So we were just blasting it and just like, fuck you, we're American, motherfucker. Like our agent over there is this dude from Berlin that we've been friends with for fucking ever. And we're watching like Men of Honor or some shit on the TV in this van. And we're like, we fucking whooped you guys in World War II. How's that feel? And just, you know what I mean? Just being like ignorant ass dickheads to this guy. It's just like, a switch turns on in your head. You just get like, you turn into an asshole.
Yeah, I feel that, dude. Don't mess with Americans, man.
Dude, I'm not that kind of guy, but I become that guy. If
awesome.
I'm tested and for enough days in a row, I'm just like, man, I miss Pennsylvania.
Yeah, dude. Like, okay, so I live in Buffalo. Last thing I'll say, I live in Buffalo, like, but near like country area, like similar to Pennsylvania.
Yeah,
and it's crazy to me to see like you actually get out of it, you know, and like actually do something like sick.
Dude,
Because,
thanks to
like,
the internet.
and it's like for me, like I do this podcast. I think it's fucking crazy because like I am in the same kind of boat. Like I'm out in the middle of goddamn nowhere with no potential.
And your
You know?
podcast is sick as fuck. Your roster of people you've interviewed is like who's who. I didn't even have to look, like read the email. I saw the picture and I was like, damn, this podcast is definitely sick. I got to do this. You know what I mean? It's cool.
Yeah.
We live in the middle of nowhere, but it doesn't matter.
Literally.
It doesn't matter anymore.
I feel like people just don't understand until they get out into Pennsylvania and where I'm at. Like,
Yeah, man. That's why I want to tell my friends. I got buddies that like they love playing music and they want to just do it forever, and they live in like San Francisco, and I'm like, dude, you're crazy, man. It's never gonna.
yeah, because
it's
that's,
so
that's
expensive.
different.
Or they live in LA, and it's just like, or they want to move to New York, and I'm just like, you don't got to do that. Nobody's got to do that anymore, man. Just live in
You
the.
don't have to
dude,
go on the. You don't have to live it up on the strip anymore.
Right
man.
before our podcast started, I have the window open behind my office, and it's like just fucking gunshots and birds. It's just hillbilly fucking woods.
I was wondering what.
It's just,
Dude,
it's. I love where I live. It's fucking awesome, and it's cheap as shit, man. I couldn't afford to live in New York City. I would be boxed out
Yeah.
of the city. I couldn't even get a place. You know?
Well, I mean, like, I lived in the city of Rochester for about a year,
Yeah.
and I mean, it was nice. Everything was, you know, a hand's length away, but at the same time, I just felt like, damn, man, I can't. I don't know. Like you were just talking about shooting guns, man. Like you can't do that out in the city. Like you
They don't like that
can't-
shit.
you can't get away with anything.
I mean, and just talking practically, like, who can afford that? And if you're trying to do something non-traditional with your life, forget it. I mean, I have friends that do live in the city and make it work, but fuck, I don't know how. Like, honestly, my band lives in Ocean City, Maryland. Well, the bass player's in Philly right now, but they live in Ocean City, Maryland. It's like, it's literally my redneck woods plus a beach, like beach rednecks. And it's the same story.
What?
Live rural. Yeah, imagine that. The first time I went down to Ocean City, I was like still in the woods, and then all of a sudden at the ocean, and there's just farms everywhere. And I was like, damn, I think I don't like surfing rednecks. Like the beach rednecks are worse. They're meaner and crazier down there than they are here. Like I'd rather deal with these folks. They're just a little more calm. Down there, it's like a party city, and they're psychopaths. It's
Jesus
I mean, it's
Christ.
cool. They're another breed, man. If you ever meet our drummer, you'll understand. He's just like they're
He's a
animals.
fucking nut.
He's an animal. Like they're fucking animals. They just want to party all day. They're just like they wake up in the morning ready to go. 7 a.m. They're like, all right, let's do it again. It's a lifestyle, I guess. But like it's a different breed of freak down there. But living rural is like the only thing that makes my life possible. And I wouldn't want to be anywhere else anyway. It's nice.
Yeah.
I like it here. Yeah, but when I end up having the conversations, like this is an awesome conversation. I'll talk to you like any day of the week. You know what I mean? Like it's
Right.
it's
But
refreshing and nice.
when it feels like a goddamn like I don't know, like I'm trying to like drag information out of you. That's never been the goal of what like I do. Like
I mean, yeah, and generally it's always cool, to be honest. Like people are cool, but it's just easy to get just like kind of burned out sometimes. Just in general, not even talking podcasts. Just like as a human being, I feel like you only have so much gas in your tank,